Hey man, I'm super glad week one has finally come. I'm sorry that we have to talk about your Cowboys in this fashion that we're about to, but we're going to get into Cowboys' first game against the Eagles. I know it's been several days, but it's given us time to marinate and maybe stop throwing things at the wall. So,
Yeah.
Cowboys lose 24-20. But tell me, like, what really stood out to you as you watched it? Because I think you got to watch this one a bit more closely. I was a bit busy that night. So tell me what you
Yeah.
thought initially of that game, both thoughts leading into the game and what you hoped the Cowboys would do, and thoughts of like different unexpected things the Cowboys tried to try to make this game work.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there was a level of anxiety going into this game, obviously, as a Cowboys fan. I think, we had talked about who's likely to win the game and all that. Vegas had 95% chance. Stephen A's out there saying, hey, we're going to lose by 2 to 3 touchdowns. It's like, man, if we lose, I can emotionally handle that. I don't want to get run over. I don't want to get embarrassed. So it's like, well, okay, what are the keys? We talked about those last week. It's like, man, we cannot get embarrassed by Saquon, and we cannot get embarrassed by their really talented wide receiver core. And it's like, if we can just hold those things in check, which supposedly are going to be our new strengths, maybe we have a chance. And the other side of the ball, it was, man, can we just get something going on offense against a world champion level defense? So we jumped into the game, and right off the bat, we march the field, we go down, and a new guy to the team, Devontae Williams, runs into the end zone, and Javonte Williams, runs in the end zone, scores his first touchdown. And it was exciting to see, like, okay, so is this really how our offense is going to function? Is this a fluke? We get they of course come right back, and it's back and forth. We end up scoring again, same almost exact way. And it's like, okay, I can see where our offense is going. I'm probably remiss to point out that at the beginning of the game, there was an unfortunate incident where somebody got ejected right off the bat, which did sway things in that game. Because he, in theory, would have been there to help just bolster the defense in general. But, in particular with the running game, I think that did set the early tone. I personally miss old school rivalries where the games are very, very rough, very hard, played back and forth. I don't want dirty, right? I'm not looking for dirty. I'm not looking for people trying to injure people, but like, let's hit each other hard. I can handle a little shoving, a little pushing, all of that. So for me, it was very fun to watch in that regard, and how we came out in the first half, which was very heavily offense driven in the first half. And I think you were saying that you kind of came in more towards the second half, or got to kind of catch up more towards the second half rather than the first half, as I recall. Yep. Did anything else on the first half stand out to you that you recall?
Really pleased with their usage of Javonte Williams. I know we talked about that in the offseason. Like, are we going to have a run game? It's kind of all about this one player, if they're going to have a run game or not. At least that's what it feels like. And I was pretty pleased by what he did. He didn't have crazy prolific numbers. I mean, 2 touchdowns kind of sets him apart, but it worked pretty well there. George Pickens, I felt like that needs it might need a few weeks before it's really they figured out how to use him in real games. But CeeDee Lamb is normally going to have even better games than this. I know he had 110 yards, but everyone's just talking about him dropping the passes. Yeah. But I'm just like, he doesn't normally drop. Like, he'll drop one every once in a while, but it's not 3 or 4 drops in one game, it feels like. And some of those catches would have been really amazing catches if he had caught them. Like, these were not easy. So, but you're kind of hoping a guy that gets paid, when he gets paid, catches the tough one. So, I mean, stuff that really stood out. I think the number one thing for me is against that defense, that defensive line. You didn't allow 1 sack, I don't believe, on Dak Prescott. Am I quoting the wrong thing? Yeah, you didn't have 1
correct,
sack. Yeah. I'm super impressed by our offensive line. Is that accurate, or were they just scheming up a lot of short stuff that I wasn't noticing, or was that offensive line just amazing?
I mean, I think for what the offensive line is, which is a young offensive line, right? There's a rookie out there playing against this particular defense. It was pretty impressive to watch. Now, as you pointed out, Dak was throwing some longer balls, but he was throwing a lot of shorter check down type things as well to stay out of that. So I think it was both. And I think this is kind of Schottenheim's like his shots, like his brand of football is, I don't need you to be the hero. I don't need you to go and try to do all this stuff. I guess the outcome didn't end up with us with a win, but it also didn't end up with Dak sitting on the sideline for the rest of the season either. So there's that as a positive. But yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense, for sure. I think the biggest thing in this game to me was Saquon Barkley, and not so much Saquon Barkley. I didn't see any problem with Saquon Barkley. I don't have any problem with his game. I think he played a great game. He was doing all the things to be productive. I'm impressed with the defense and how we were able to realistically hold him in check. I think any game where you hold Saquon Barkley to 60 yards rushing, and 20-ish yards receiving, something like that is 40, whatever it was, is a pretty good game. Pretty good game for the defense. And people just point out, of course, that like, okay, well, that just meant that Jalen got to run in for a bunch of touchdowns. That is a problem we're going to have to figure out some kind of mitigating factor to. As I was saying when we were talking last week, I don't think our goal is to stop them. Our goal is to manage them. We're not going to stop the Eagles from scoring regularly.
Right.
We just can't have them score every time. And the defense in the second half definitely did that. We just stopped scoring in the second half. Yeah. So it was a trade-off there. And Miles Sanders showed some of his capability at that long run, 40-yard plus run, which is awesome. But then 2 plays later, he fumbled the ball in the red zone, which is just murderous for momentum. But we were definitely in it. We had a lot of opportunities to win that game. So from that, it was really a very exciting game. I think the other thing to point out that is we had talked about, we need Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs to play like they're getting paid, because they're getting paid. And to watch them going against guys that have eaten us alive, A.J. Brown, and they do regularly, everyone else, Devontae Smith, and like they had a combined 4 catches, I believe, for like 25 yards. That's mission accomplished. Yeah. Mission accomplished. We gave up 1 long pass, and it was a dagger to Dotson, whose name is fun to say, and it put them in a great position. It was very costly, but that was the one. Yeah. To me, this game was a lot of the things we needed to see as we move forward throughout the season. If we can't do these things, our division is going to be miserable to exist in. So I'm overall encouraged. Am I happy with the outcome? Nah, I'd love to win, but I'm encouraged with the direction going forward.
Yeah, I have a hard time with week 1 because it's week 1. A lot of people, even like experts and former players and coaches, will be like, week 1, yes, the games matter, but it's almost more like week 4 of the preseason than actual week 1 of the NFL, because people are still getting used to the speed of the game, and it's just hard to replicate. Even in the preseason, when you're playing against other teams, players aren't really going at 100%, and now they are. So it's still an adjustment. Crazy things happen in week 1. And so even if you guys had won this game, I'd have been happy for you, because 1-0 is better than 0-1. And this will matter at the end of the year. But I wouldn't have immediately thought, well, Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl, baby. Here we go. And on top of that, your division, in my eyes, is somewhat notorious for playing itself ridiculously hard. You may have one matchup here that's like just crazy lopsided against, Washington and the Giants or whoever, but your division plays itself very tough. So it may not be, you being right there with the Eagles may not be the perfect representation at the end of the year about what your records will actually look like. Maybe just you played them really well. So we'll see as things go forward. But on that note, as we go from week 1, it's hard to read, into week 2 now with a bit of a sample size of what teams are going to try to do, where they are going to try to place their strengths, what players they're really going to rely on. Let's get into your next week's game against the Giants. Let's see. I have forgotten. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
All I was going to say is you're playing at the Cowboys, so it's home. It's your home opener.
Which, as you recall, last year was a curse. Yeah. Like, I don't know what happened, but last year was a strange year in that. This year, totally different. We're going to be much better at home. So I like that. I'm putting that out there. So I would think if I were any other team looking at this and going, okay, well, how might we exploit the Cowboys? They showed us some things we weren't expecting. They held Saquon in check. They held the wide receivers. The Giants have great wide receivers in Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson. So very similar setup in that regard. And the two of them having to face Deron Bland and Trayvon Diggs is going to be a real challenge. I really like Tyrone Tracy Jr. I think he's a great back. But again, whatever was working on that line, he's probably going to run into. So it's like, okay, how do we break this up some to make it not so? I would think the same way that everyone else in our division is going to look at it, which is maybe Russ should run a few more times, right? And I imagine they're going to set him up so that he can run and test out, have we come up with any strategy to handle the running quarterback, which we had better have a plan for since our division is full of running or elusive. Russ may be more of an elusive running back at this point than a running quarterback, but they're all capable. So I would think that very similar setup on our side, right? We're going to go in trying to be a balanced defense. I think in this game, I want to see us really limit points. Whereas in the last one, we were just trying to slow them down.
Right.
I think this game, we should be a little bit more heavy-handed in trying to really hey, let's keep them from scoring more. Not that the defense is not trying to keep them from scoring, but hopefully that makes sense.
I get
yeah.
There are some differences here in this game. As much as I was complimenting your offensive line for its play, I will say this as a possibility. I think it was the next day the Eagles went out and signed Zadarius Smith, making you think maybe it wasn't just Dallas's O-line played great, but they weren't happy with the performance of their players. They did lose a couple of 3 guys. What is it, 2 or 3 guys? I forget. I know they lost Milton Williams and Josh Sweat from last year, who were contributors. And, of course, they didn't have Jalen Carter in week 1. We're not really sure about his status at this point for week 2. And that's 3 big-name guys who are superstar. Well, a couple of stars and a superstar for sure. And so then you switch over to the Giants. They have 3 legitimate superstars on their defensive line. I really liked what I saw from Abdul Carter for week 1. I don't know, maybe superstar is a bit premature for that one, but he is a violent, explosive player. Brian Burns was kind of Micah Parsons before Micah Parsons, maybe minus just a piece, but he was pretty close. He had 2 sacks. He had 2 sacks on Jaden Daniels, and then they've got Dexter Lawrence. So they are a nasty set, and I don't think you're going to have for this particular week, based on the changes that happened with the Eagles going into the Giants game. I don't think you're going to have really an easier time against that defensive front.
I agree.
On the other side of that, I don't think that their secondary is as good. They don't have a Quinyon Mitchell. They don't have a Zach Bond back there reinforcing. So I think that your quick pass game might have some more success, but you're also going to need to run the ball. The Commanders were able to run wild. I think they had 220 rushing yards on them. And now, again, some of that's explosive runs for young guys that no one's ever heard of, and we still can't pronounce all that well, like Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And Jaden Daniels was running just plenty well. And I don't, as much as I like Dak Prescott, he doesn't run as well as Jaden. So looking ahead at that game, relevant strengths and weaknesses you're looking for in each team's that's going to help shape that game, preferably the way you want it to.
Well, in that world, that you brought it up earlier, is how did the offensive line perform? This will be probably because of some of the people they were missing, the Eagles, Carter in particular. This team is not missing people. We're going to face a real unit on the front, as you've already pointed out. This will be an even greater test of our offensive line to be able to manage that and keep them off of Dak. I never really want to see Dak planned run much. Situational, I get, but I think if we can keep Dak from being in that position a lot, that'd be great. I think that would be a huge thing, is giving Dak a little bit of time. I would like to see us, the poor CD is going to be the guy that everyone blames for the last game, which I do think is unfair. I understand, there were some of those, if he had caught one, it would have made a big difference. You wouldn't expect him to not catch all 3. As you point out, some of those were wild. But see him be a big part of the game. But I would love to see Pickens get more attention, share more of that load. I would like to see that. I think that will be a big part of this game, is if we can start spreading the ball around to other people that are not CeeDee Lamb. On the defensive side of the ball, coming up, seeing some scheme that is designed to pick up and manage running quarterbacks is going to be a thing I want to see during this game. So many good things on defense and we had no idea what our defense was going to be. Now it's like, okay, we have a really legitimate secondary, and we have some capability on our line to stop running games. Now, can we pick up, running quarterbacks? If we can see something there, I think that sets us up really well. Outside of that, I just want to stay healthy.
Yeah.
I don't think this is you mentioned trap games last week when we were talking about the at the time upcoming game between New Orleans and the Cardinals.
Yeah.
I think this could fall in that category if we're not prepping hard and ready to go. There's enough talent on this team to still hurt us if we're not paying attention.
Yeah.
Does that make sense to you? What else would you add to that?
I think so. I'm less. I mean, it's the Giants instead of the Eagles, so it's kind of hard to draw comparisons to them, to be fair.
Yeah.
But again, as I mentioned toward the beginning or earlier, whatever, that your division plays itself quite well. It makes it a mite unpredictable. But you think about, like, oh, they have a quarterback that can run. Okay, but he doesn't run as well as Jalen Hurts. Oh, it's like they have a pretty good running back. Okay, well, they don't have Saquon Barkley. Oh, is their offensive line? Well, their offensive line's definitely not as good as the Eagles. So I'm just like, okay, they've got two pretty good wide receivers. They're not as good as Philadelphia's receivers, and I really like Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yeah,
I'm having a hard time painting a path to victory for the Giants here. Which is why I keep coming back to their defensive line, doing something, creating turnovers, creating strip sacks, or just causing pressure that makes Dak throw a bad pass and things like that. Like, to me, that's my number one concern for Dallas going into this next week. And I would think it's the point of emphasis. If somehow their defensive front is the type that can get past your offensive line, it's maybe the more explosive, athletic guys rather than just big power guys or something. I don't know. And that they can cause some trouble, especially just rushing 4, where they can drop 7 into coverage. That might be their path to victory, or the thing that would concern me, or to look out for, I guess, if I was a Dallas fan. But it feels like you do the right things that match up against what they do. It feels like you block the little avenues of hope that they might have. They were able to get Wendell Robinson going last week against the Commanders. Well, again, the Commanders have one pretty darn good corner in Malcolm Jenkins. Is it Malcolm Jenkins? Yeah, I think it's Malcolm Jenkins. But they really don't have a great 2, so you're going to be able to throw at that second guy. You guys have 2 great corners. So it's a very different animal. So I am excited for it. I think it'll be a good home opener for you, and a way to get back on track. So yeah, I'm excited to see it. Give me just a quickie, just because. Give me a final score. Give me a final score prediction, just because. We'll do our predictions for all picks for all the teams a little bit later. But give me this game's final score.
I'd be happy with maybe like 24-10, 24-13, somewhere in there. I think that would be a good spot to end up. Scoring some points, hold them out of some points, somewhere in there. 24-13.
That would be managing the clock a lot. I feel like that score indicates the run game working pretty well for you. So I think that makes a ton of sense.
That would be nice. That would be nice.
Right. Well, unless you got anything else for this one, let's call it a wrap. So we will get into some other games further on in this week for anyone joining us. We really appreciate anyone who's willing to like and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100, and we're getting closer and closer every week. So really appreciate everyone who's already subscribed. Have a fantastic week, and we will see you later.